Hey everybody, what's going on? Juan here, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another pickups video. And I've been holding off on working on this video for quite a while because the games that I'm about to be showcasing I actually got all the way back in July. But with Black Friday, I knew that a date and a time would come when everybody, gamers across the world, cannot wait to showcase their steal of a deals that they got through Amazon, eBay, GameStop, wherever. We're talking consoles up to $100 off. Games that are usually $60 you can get for $20 or $30. But what if, just what if, I showcased a couple of video games, Steelbook collectibles, that I got for only 97 cents each. That's right, not even a dollar. Well folks, this is no hypothetical because I'm about to be showcasing a couple of video games that I got all the way back in July, and these are Steelbook indie boxes that were exclusively available over at GameStop. Now, if you're not new to the channel, you've probably seen my previous indie box unboxing videos, but in case you don't know, IndieBox is a great company that what they do is they reach out to these smaller indie developers, publishers that don't really have the marketing or just the budget as a whole to create these box copies of games that we see end up at Walmart, Best Buy, and things like that. And what they do is that they create these pretty cool boxes that are packed with all sorts of things, keychains, USB drives. They actually contain 2 copies of a game because they will have a disc-based version, but they also have either a key or a USB drive with a DRM-free version. And even though a couple of these games have made their way to consoles, IndieBox works on the PC version of these games. So you get the DRM-free copy of the game that doesn't rely on anything like Origin or Steam, but because you also get a key, you can have that go on Steam. So you technically get 2 of the same game for the price of 1 for the most part, so not bad at all. Now these right here are the normal ones that you can get from their website. I'll post a link to that at the description section of the video, but the ones that I'm about to be showcasing were released exclusively at GameStop. But I saw that they said 97 cents a piece, but the caveat was that you had to go to the actual store. These were not sold online, and GameStop had already closed in Puerto Rico years prior. So I went to WhatsApp and I messaged about 5 of my best friends and I just told them, hey, if you have a GameStop that's pretty close to you and it's not too out of your way, please go get them, I'll reimburse you or anything like that. And one of my friends said, hey, I went to GameStop and they had all of the games that you requested. And in case you want proof, because I know this seems to be too good to be true, he actually sent me the receipt. So look, we had each game for 97 cents a piece, and the total price, including tax, which is very important, $7.35. Can you get a better deal than that? I thought it would just kind of fly away, but yeah, can you get a better deal than that? Let me know which deals you got through Black Friday, or what has been the biggest steal of a price that you've gotten, accidentally, or it's something that you actually went out of your way to seek out and get. So for this video, we're not going to do a let's play. I'm just going to highlight. I'm going to go inside of these steelbooks so you can check them out, because I went to the website before I hit the record button and I did not find these. So if you're one of the lucky people that got these, let me know. The first one we're going to be looking at is Stories: The Path of Destinies, and this game came out in 2016. Now, as far as I know, it's actually also available on PlayStation Plus, so if you didn't know, now you know. Hopefully you hit that download button when it first came out. And I actually played a little bit of each game before I hit the record button to make sure that I could actually talk about the games themselves. And this one, I never got around to playing it, so when I saw this, I was like, yes, it's the perfect chance to do so. It's an action game that you play as Reynardo in a steampunk-style world. Now, I can't really tell you too much about the story because I just played a little bit of it, but it is a beautiful game from what you can see. It has an excellent soundtrack, and I mean, look at the collector's edition box. The tin is actually just so beautiful from both the front and the back. You see it comes with the instruction manual and all these little details. And actually I want to go back and play a little bit more of this one because I was thinking I was going to play 10 minutes. I believe I played about an hour of it and I felt pretty good. It kind of reminded me of the Skylanders Swap Force game. I know it's like a weird example, but I don't know, I just kind of got that vibe from the game. So if you've played it, let me know. Next up, we have Chariot. Now, this is a very, very unique game because going into it, I had no idea what the hell this was about. But this game is a co-op game that came out in 2004, and it has the most interesting premise. You play as a princess that has to bury her father, so you go around the game dragging this coffin, and it's almost like a physics-based puzzler that at first I honestly wasn't sure I was going to dig it, but much like Stories: The Path of Destinies, I just kept playing it and playing it. It's got a lot of personality. It's very simple, and from what I played, I didn't really notice much violence other than the cart sort of falling on top of me a couple of times. But if you're looking to step away from the violence, from the guns, you want a more passive game experience, check Chariot out. And man, this had to be my favorite game of the bunch that I had never played, but it is a side-scrolling puzzle game where you have these different blocks. You have to basically try to progress through the levels by going through different obstacles. The thing is that as you keep playing, you unlock different characters that are longer, wider, one jumps more than the other, so you got to go back and forth between them to try to navigate the level. You got to fit one of them through a certain spot, and then you got to hit a button, which will cause the other one be able to keep going. And it's just great because the best thing about all of these is that they all come with their soundtrack. So if you like the game, I've actually done it with a couple of games, including Rogue Legacy. I've gone to my car, because I know there's Spotify, I use Spotify, but I wanted to go throwback. I wanted to go old school and put one of these CDs into my car. I put that in there and like music started playing. I was like, wow, that's like old school. That's retro. Now, those that know me should be very surprised with what I'm about to say because I'm a big fan of professional wrestling and I have never played Guacamelee, or in this case, Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition. I already had a copy of it. Now I have yet another copy of it. I really have no excuse to avoid playing this game. And first of all, maybe one of my most preferred boxes. Like, this just looks awesome. It's something that you want to like proudly display. And for those that don't know, this game originally came out in 2013 and you get to play as Juan. Not me, you don't get to play as me, you get to play as another Juan in this Metroidvania game that you can play with up to 2 players. So it's a smash mouth in your face game. It's got a beautiful style to it. It's got a lot of personality, a lot of great dialogue. If you had to ask me, Juan, not this one, this one, out of all these games, which one am I probably gonna keep playing in the immediate future? It's probably gonna be this one. So let me know if you've played Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition, because it is a great game. This one can be played with up to 2 players, and I believe that with the sequel, you can play with up to 4 players, which for a side-scrolling Metroidvania game, that's going to be kind of crazy. I've seen 2 people play, but 4 seems kind of excessive to me, but hey, I could be wrong. Next up, and I hope I get the name right, we have Jotun or Hotun or Hotun. I'm just going to hope it's one of those, and I'm not going to keep going. And this is a beautiful game, and I've been saying that about all these games, and I think that's my favorite thing perhaps about independent video games, is that they focus so much on the artistic nature of these games to make sure that they stand out, because otherwise they're all going to end up looking the same, which is unfortunately the case with a lot of games that are coming out now that are retro-themed, 8-bit, 16-bit pixel style. And you're like, man, these 20 games look pretty much identical, but with this one, it almost looks hand-drawn. Like when I first booted the game up, I actually didn't start moving the character because I thought it was still going to be part of a cutscene. And then I'm like, oh, wait, so that's actually the character. And the way that you see things being animated throughout the world, you're not even sure you can actually interact with that. At one point, there were some vines at the beginning, and when I hit them, I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. This game came out in 2015, and the story follows Thora, a recently deceased Viking woman. Having suffered an inglorious death, she must travel across the realms, defeating Jotun. Damn, the name is right there. Giant elementals of nature, chaos, power, etc. This will allow her to impress the gods and enter Valhalla. Don't think I'm being fancy, I literally pulled that off of Wikipedia so I could at least give you a little bit of information. But I think I'm going to be saving this maybe for a future occasion, which unfortunately a lot of the times means that I'll never get to play it. But if you think that this game is so good that I gotta give it a shot, I may. No promises, because I got a lot to play right now. Now, with the last 2 games, I've actually played them extensively before I even got these steelbooks. If anything, these were the main reason that I wanted to get them, because I had them in a digital-only format, and I was like, man, I would love to own physical versions of these games. And the first one is Nuclear Throne. So these are both roguelike games, so spoiler, the other one's Rogue Legacy. I love you so much, so much. Both Nuclear Throne, this is a twin-stick shooter that, as I mentioned, is a roguelike game. So if you played Binding of Isaac, you should be familiarized with this type of game. You can actually unlock different characters and they have different traits, but it is a randomly generated game and you have different levels that you can try to progress as much as possible. And when I first found out about this genre, I didn't quite get it, right? Because I was like, wait, I'm used to just being able to progress through a game and save, but with this, if I die, I gotta start at the beginning again. That's a little weird, but it wasn't up until I started to actually play them that I realized, oh, so this is like an internal competition, because you're not playing a fighting game with another person. You're playing with yourself and your video game playing ability. So if I died in 5 minutes, I want to be able to last 10, 15, 20 minutes. And we are now down to the last game in the video. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I love me some Dead Cells. And whenever I talk about Dead Cells, I think I have to talk about Rogue Legacy, because I don't like Castlevania games. I don't like Metroid games, yet I love Rogue Legacy. If you're somebody that loves Castlevania or Metroid and you have played these games, maybe you can sort of fill me in a little bit more about that, because I've played Symphony of the Night and I'm just bad at it. I'm bad at a lot of these Metroidvania games that involve backtracking. And I guess that's kind of one of the main reasons that I kind of like these, where you kind of just go to the right. Like, yeah, you go up or down, but you don't really find yourself going all the way back to the beginning. And if you die, then you know, well, I just got to do it again. With Rogue Legacy, you have a skill tree, much like in Mortal Redneck, which is a very similar game, but in first-person form. And with this one, with every time you die, you can invest some coins into getting some upgrades. So you technically got to start all the way back from the beginning, but each time you're going to be just a little bit more powerful. And I love that about the game, because if it was just straight up vanilla, as in, well, every time you start, kind of like Binding of Isaac, well, you got to just do it again, I don't think I would find myself playing this game, so many times as much as I did. The sad part about this is that the odds of me getting a bigger video game deal or a better one than this one is pretty much slim to none. Once again, less than $8, and these aren't like your average okay games. These are games that I poured over 12 hours into, over 8 hours into, games that are just beautiful, games that got sequels because they're so damn solid. A different format, a game that I may not have played were it not for this version. If GameStop brought them down to 97 cents, it was probably because people were simply put not buying the games, which is heartbreaking for me, because you guys know I love some independent video games. So many of these awesome games compete with your Spider-Mans, with your God of Wars, not on a one-to-one basis, but these are games that they deserve your time. Sure, those games deserve your time as well. They were made by hundreds of people and millions of dollars were spent working on those games. But these games are sometimes made by as small as 1 to 10 people with not a lot of money. But when you play them, you're like, man, this is why I love video games, because it's not just about playing the obvious stuff. It's also about playing the hidden gems, or talking about the games that often go underappreciated. And I think it's kind of our job in a really cool way to be able to find these games and talk about them. So if you have played any of the games that I've showcased right here on the video, let me know which was your favorite. And the same question as I posted at the beginning of the video, what has been your biggest steal of a deal when it comes to Black Friday or video games as a whole? Let me know in the comment section of the video, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget that I'm always open to suggestions and ideas, so if there's a video in particular that you would like me to work on, or you're like, Juan, play a little bit more of that game. Maybe even if you don't complete it, play a couple hours, get back to us, give us your impressions on those. Let me know as well. And if you want to help support the channel, you know exactly what to do. You hit the subscribe button, you hit the notifications bell. You can also follow us at twitch.tv/PressPauseTV for streams featuring my wife and myself playing all sorts of video games. You can also enjoy the A Cast of the Past podcast, new episode every single Sunday. We talk about movies, games, wrestling, pop culture as a whole, 80s, 90s, 2000s, everything that we loved and hated growing up. We talk about that in that podcast. You can check it out right here on YouTube. So until next time, never forget that this video has concluded, but the epic journey continues. So thank you for watching, gang. Take care. I'm really not helping with my video game problem, because I have so many games to play, and hopefully, I'm not going to reveal what it is yet. Hopefully something that we ordered actually ends up arriving, and if it does, oh boy. Thanks for watching, gang.